Hello, everyone. My name is Kelsie Jacobs. I'm the senior intern at Technology Innovation Law. This is our Adapt, Create, and Innovate series. Today we have Yuan Burns, and she is going to share with us a bit about her role as Chief Information Officer at the DC City Courts. Yuan?
Hi there. My name is Yuan Burns. I'm the Chief Information Officer of the DC Courts. I've been with the DC Courts for 18 years and started as a database manager. And 3 years later, I was promoted to Chief Technology Officer. And then a year later, I was promoted to Chief Information Officer. So I've been in this position for about 15 years. My duties at the DC Courts is to lead a group of talented IT professionals to provide IT services, innovative IT services, and to support the judiciary and to support the court staff.
Thank you for that. I know you touched a bit about the purpose, but can you dive a little deeper into what you do in your role as Chief Information Officer and how you can make that all come together?
Sure. So I, of course, work with my colleagues. I work with my colleagues, the division directors, and also the executive team. We call it E-team at the courts. And I have some committees, like IT Steering Committee is my main committee, which has the judiciary representatives on the board committee as well. So through that committee, we all the initiatives are sort of reported to that committee, and we get our project management team to get it done. So over the years, we have done a lot of large projects, like the one currently we're doing is called IJUST 2, Integrated Justice Solutions, and 2, meaning the second time. We're implementing a new case management system. And so my duty, my responsibility is a leadership and visionary person. So yeah, I have a strategic plan for 5 years, IT strategic plan for 5 years from 2018 to 2022. And that's to support the court's strategic plan, 5-year strategic plan. So, and then every year, the IT division has a management action plan. So basically, look at the 5-year roadmap and look at, what we need to get it done in this particular year. And so our staff, I have about 70 full-time employees and some contractors. So for our full-time employees, so we have performance evaluations, performance plans. So those performance plans are related to the management action plan, and in turn to the IT strategic plan. And so we hold our people accountable. And our team is living in the court's values, right? Excellence, accountability, integrity, fairness, and respect and transparency. So we have, and this is how I get things done, is through our people. And our people are very motivated, and they know each and every one's job matters to the court's vision.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I know you mentioned being a visionary and having a visionary role, and I'm sure that takes a bit of creativity to be able to lead as many people as you do. So can you share with us an outrageously creative moment that you've had that kind of sparked your visionary position?
Yes. So, you know, when I took this job, I know my job is not just to implement uh, technology when somebody is asking for it. My job is to make sure to look and beyond this particular year and look be proactive, look out to see what are the technologies out there that will potentially benefit our judiciary,
Mhm.
our court services, right? And I don't like to be, you know, reactive. Like when people asking for something, I have no idea what this thing is and need to find out a way to resolve issues. Now we do have that kind of situations, right? You can't avoid that kind of situations, but I want to minimize that. I wanted to have more proactive, something that all already look for it before they ask for it. So as a result, we have implemented a whole lot of things that benefited to the courts and before they ask for it. So we implemented virtual desktop infrastructure.
Mhm.
We implemented voice over IP.
Mhm.
We implemented a virtualization, and we implemented cloud solutions right now. As a result, we're hybrid, right? And we implemented Office 365. Now, all of those things were not asked for, and
Right.
this is because we have seen the trend, the cloud trend, and how this will value to save the cost for the DC courts, right? We did a thorough analysis and cost and benefits analysis, and to conclude this will be beneficial to the courts, right? So
Mhm.
this is what we have done, and I don't know if Chris have seen our you know, strategic plan. You know, I try to make it. This is the IT strategic plan that we have, and in it there are lots of you know, roadmap. Basically, we have visions and roadmap as to how we can achieve those.
Right. Well, thank you for that. I'm sure that we'll be able to dive a little deeper into your roadmap. But as far as you, can you tell us who you are and tell us a bit about yourself, a little story?
Sure. Uh, you know, I started, you know, my bachelor's degree is in electronics.
Mm.
Okay, so I was an IEEE certified electronic engineer at the beginning of my career. And I was studying in the United Kingdom for my master's degree and PhD. And when I was doing my master's degree, I wanted to switch because I see technology is it's going to take off at the time, was going to take off. So I wanted to switch, and this is why I actually did my master's degree in computer related things. I wrote software at the time, used C, and my PhD topic was equivalent to the U.S. at the time GIS system, Geographic Information System.
Mhm.
So you know, I wrote a programming, and at the time the U.S. didn't have that.
Mm.
So, but I did not continue to work on it because I found a job and had better pay than a research fellow. So I left the university and started working in the industry as an IT professional.
Mm.
And I started with software development, and then switched to the design and database design, design a database, and optimize the database, because I see database is the key, is the backbone. And so my career, I always worked at the private sector companies. And even when I came to the US, I was an instructor for database technology, teaching database technologies and programming and project management. I did that for 3 years in the US. When I came to US, that was 1997. And I started to, the IT boom, .com time. So the training was hot, and I was able to teach day and night, and I taught actually over 1,000 students in DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. Sometimes going to the mall and people say, "Hey, teacher so and so," and I didn't notice, there was somebody that took my class before. So I enjoyed that experience. Then I started to work for Computer Science Corporation as a database manager and senior computer scientist, and that for a couple of years before came to the court. And I stayed there for 18 years, right? So I started as a database manager, and at the time we implemented court view case management system. So I led a group of people, and at the time nobody knows the Oracle database at the DC courts. So I was certified Oracle database administrator. So I taught people around me who were mainframe background. So I taught them, because I used to be instructor, right? So and they learned from me, and they were very appreciated, because some of those people are still here and they are DBAs now. And it's not difficult, and they just need to know those commands. So that's how I started. And so my boss at the time was Ken Ford, who was the CIO, and he saw me were in basically, train a whole lot of people. So he was appreciative of my effort. And before he retired, he promoted me to the Chief Technology Officer position. So I had then opened my eyes into management, senior leadership roles. And at the time, I saw myself, even though I had a lot of technology background, but in the leadership, there's another area that I need to learn. So I had a coaching program. The courts is graciously hired executive coach for me and for other new leaders. And I benefited from that. And I learned how what I should do as a CIO. Communications is the most important part of my job. And I need to have vision, and I need to have innovative ideas. I can't be like 20 years ago, and IT is just data processing, and is to support, to fix PCs and desktop softwares. We are now in the era that without IT, there's nothing can be done.
Right.
So to me, I felt at the time I became the CIO 15 years ago, I felt heavy weight on my shoulder. But I was determined to learn and to provide the values to the courts. So that's my background, and I was born in Shanghai, China, and I grew up there until my early 20s. And then I started to go to Belgium first, and then to United Kingdom, and then here.
Oh, thank you for that share. It sounds like you have a very rich background, and it sounds like IT is really where you want it to be. And speaking of IT, I know that IT is an ever-changing field, and I know that technology just continues to advance. And like you said, you've been with the company about 18 years now. So can you share with us how you've been able to keep a source of inspiration for your innovation?
Sure. So I myself, even though it's not required to my job,
Mm.
I have to, training myself, take a training classes. I'm a certified CISSP. I'm a certified ITIL expert. So I keep training myself, to have a new technology, have a new knowledge in this new technology. I am very into the blockchain, technology, those cloud technology, cloud deployment. So I keep myself, first of all, keep myself up to speed with a new technology. And then I never lose the sight of my goal here is to make sure those technology do support the courts and will benefit the courts, right? Some technologies don't apply too much to the courts, but others will create a cost savings and will, streamline our business here. So with that, I think I am able to provide a vision for the DC courts.
Thank you for that. I know you mentioned blockchain. I'm a supply chain management major, so I know that AI and artificial intelligence and blockchain and stuff like that, they're leading to the future basically. And we need all these things to kind of keep advancing. And like you said, they're not going to be able to advance without all these new technologies. So I know that that's very important. So in your own words, can you explain to us how the technology that you use comes together to create value for the DC courts?
Yes. So we when we do implement a new technology, first of all, we do cost and benefits analysis. Okay, we don't just do implement a new technology just for the sake of this is a new technology we need to bring to the DC courts. What we do is the cost, and I leave my CTO and also the enterprise architecture board, and lead them to think everything you want to bring to the courts, you have to demonstrate. This will add value to the courts. Add value also means, it can generate cost savings, right? Has a return on investment.
Right.
So they will always do a business case for the board, the enterprise architecture board. Right, I participated in on the board meetings and so on. So I weigh in when needed. So this is how we do here at the DC courts. We always do cost and benefit analysis.
Thank you for that. So now the question of the hour: how have you been able to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic? I know that you mentioned earlier going virtual in the DC city courts. So how have you been able to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic?
It's a lot of challenge, but I think we still can. We have already, I told you earlier, we already have 70 virtual courtrooms. And in the courthouse, we have about 100. So we can make all the 100 virtual. But the quality of because a lot of participants, they use different technologies, they have their different Wi-Fi bandwidth. So sometimes the voice quality is not so great. So so we have challenges that we're facing. We need to have a resolution for it, right?
Right.
And also digital signature. Because now documents, you can't go to your office to print it out and sign it and scan them back in. So it creates a lot of room for us to be innovative, to have a digital signature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the digital signature is not only just to paste a picture of your signed signature, utilize a graphic signature, but real digital signature methodology.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we wanted to see as well. And also AI, like you mentioned, we want to use chatbot, that type of technology, because support, IT support as well as a juror support, as well as all the divisions, they receive a lot of calls every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we use artificial intelligence to answer some of those calls and to show us what are the areas that we need to do more, maybe publish more stuff on the internet,
Right.
or reach out to our participants or our lawyers, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to utilize the artificial intelligence. So I think COVID-19, it's a pandemic, and obviously it's very unfortunate that we're being in this situation for that long. But also, I think it has a silver lining, and it's an opportunity for our IT people to do more innovations, right? Yeah. And to come up with technologies that can handle those issues.
Right. Well, thank you for that. I know you mentioned it's an opportunity. So my question I have next for you is, what comes next for the DC courts when it comes to the innovations that you guys have?
What comes to the next, I think, like I said, AI is something that we want to look into it. And do I see Ron Berry on the line? Is this Ron?
Yes,
Ron?
Yes, Yuan. I just joined. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, great. So we have Ron Berry. Ron Berry is the Chief Technology Officer. Okay. So and after I leave the course, Ron will continue to lead the team. So I want Ron to weigh in to talk about, what are the next technologies the court is looking into it right now, Ron.
Right. I briefly heard what you stated earlier, Yuan, regarding AI. As you know, we're going to migrate a lot of our solutions to the cloud. That's one thing we definitely want to leverage. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of that is to ensure that we have a solid, high availability and disaster recovery aspect to all of our solutions. Mm-hmm. As far as our future technology, we're looking at, on the network side, we're looking at utilizing some of the, what we call the SD-WAN technology, software-defined technology regarding network, as opposed to using a dedicated line, a dedicated means of doing that, a dedicated network of doing that. We want to leverage a software-defined network. And Gary, say something. I thought you were going to say something. Kelsie, was it Kelsie?
Yeah, it's Kelsie.
Okay.
Nope,
okay, Kelsie.
Kelsie.
Right. But as you know, all the buzzwords is like say AI, machine learning, and things like that. So until we get a grasp on all the different technology that's available and we have the resources trained to leverage those technologies, we can't really say that we're going that way, because the courts do have certain parameters that we need to be cognizant of. We just can't go implement technology for the sake of implementing technology.
Right.
So, and we do get a lot of feedback from each of the divisions on what they like to implement. We have a branch called the Courtroom Technology Branch, and they handle all the technology within the courtrooms, and they're actively involved in audio, video conferencing. So that branch is actually looking at new ways of implementing audio and video conferencing technologies. And like I said, most of the technology that we're trying to leverage is going to be moved to the cloud. We'll take full advantage of the cloud.
So I do have a personal question, since supply chain geek. What do you think would benefit you guys best, given the new innovations that you're looking into? What do you think would be the best fit for you guys at the DC Courts?
The best fit at all the technologies.
Well, speaking about AI and standard learning, like machine learning and stuff like that, which one do you think would be the best fit? Maybe, I know Yuan mentioned chatbots as
Yes.
AI. So which ones do you think would be the best fit for you guys?
Right now it would be chatbots. Okay. And then we have the RPA, which is, I'm trying to think what RPA stands for. It's it's automating the process of how people do things on a regular basis. In other words, are you familiar with like macros?
Yes.
Right. So it's the AI version of macros. So there's a lot of repetitive tasks that people do within the courts. So we want to leverage APA for that purpose. And currently we have a division that is actively involved in that technology.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Yuan. So before we wrap it up, do you, Ron, or Yuan have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I want to thank you thank you and Chris for organizing this. Reach out to the DC courts. I think it's important for us to share our story. Ron will continue to do so.
Yuan has a lot more stories than I do, trust me. A lot more stories. I've been in this position for 2 years, just a little over 2 years, and thankfully it was because of Yuan's leadership and her trust in me. That's why I'm in this position right now.
Thank you, Ron. But Ron's been with the courts for over 10 years now, right?
Yes.
So he started as a database manager, and now he is a chief technology officer. Hopefully that is the right path for him to get to the chief information officer as well. So thank you guys. Thank you, Ron, too.
Thank you.
If I may just mention Chris Bennett here, and I thank Yuan for her service. I've known her for a while, since prior stint at the DC government. And now I'm a practicing attorney with a social impact startup developing some software to make it easy for marginalized and underserved creatives to use intellectual property. And I just wanted to extend that same appreciation for your service to you, Ron. And two factors that drove us to invite you on were, number one, we actually are developing a game that looks at certain heroic people and organizations that are taking action to help to make the world a better place. And we're defining that as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And there are 17 of them, but one of them deals with institutions that support justice. So we couldn't think of a a better example than the DC courts and also the DC bar. So do not be surprised at some point if we don't ask to hold the courts up as a heroic institution that supports the cause of justice. And the second thing is that as an attorney, I appreciate what you're doing to automate things and make it easier, so that don't have to go to the courthouse unless it really makes sense based on the judge's guidance. So keep doing all the positive things that you're doing. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to add also want to add that the courts have a management training program. And within that program, a lot of the individuals who participate or who are selected to be a part of that program, they come up with a lot of innovative ideas. I mean, most of the, they have to present a particular, we call it a solution, or how they want to better the courts, as one of their deliverables or one of their outputs to pass this training program. Mm-hmm. And most of their innovative ideas pertain to technology. Okay. And we get a lot of those, we get a lot of ideas from them as well. And I just wanted to state that.
Please extend our appreciation to them, because we recognize that if the wheels of justice turn efficiently, society benefits from that.
Yes.
So I'm going to hand it back to, thank you for that, Yuan, and I'm going to hand it back to Kelsie now.
Well, I think we've covered it all. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Yuan, and thank you, Chris, of course. And I think that is all.
I'll give you a round of applause before we go. Yuan, enjoy whatever is next you have envisioned, and Ron, please keep doing what you're doing, and best wishes to your team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.